Samsaradava nalalita loka Taranaya karunya kana kana tvam Praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya Vande guroshi charanarabindam Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nritya Gita Vaditra Madhyam Manasora Sena Romanchakam Pashutaranga Bhajo Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Vande Guroshi Shira Shivigrahara Dhananitya Nana Shingara Dhamman Tiramarjanado Yutasya Bhaktam Chanyunjatopi Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Chaturvidhashi Bhagavat Prasada Swadwana Tripta Hari Bhakta Sangha Kriteva Triptim Padyathasa Daiva Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Shirhadhika Mahatavayora Para Madhurya Lila Gunarupa Namnam Pratikshana Swadandalolupasya Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Nikunja Yuno Radikeli Sitai Yayari Pe Yuktira Pisaniya Tatrati Dakshat Ativallabhasya Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Sashathari Tena Samasta Shastre Utasthatha Bhaviteva Satpihi Kintu Prabhoya Priyeva Tasya Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasado Yasya Prasada Nakati Kutopi Nakati Kutopi Dhyayam Stuvam Stasya Yashasti Sandhyam Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam. Sri Charana. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Aya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha, Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopa Govindarang Shri Madhusudana, Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita, Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nilamata Radha Nilamata Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Nilamata Radha Nilamata Shri Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana. Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman. Jayo Lakshmi Narasingha Jayo Lakshmi Narasingha Jayo Lakshmi Narasingha Jayo Lakshmi Narasingha Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Ushnupada Paramahamsa Pajaka Acharya Shtota Shata Shishmat His Divine Grace Aparachana Rinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON PVTB I found Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Ushnupada Paramahamsa Pajaka Acharya Shtota Shata Shishmat His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnavana Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premi se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Shri Purushottam Chaitra Jagannath-puri Dham Ki Jai Shri Ayodhya Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samavrita Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya Praladadayine Hiranyakasi Purvakshaha Silatanka Nakhalaye Ito Nursimha Parato Nursimho Yeto Yeto Yami Tato Nursimha Bahe Nursimho Hridaye Nursimho Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye Tavakara Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Singam Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanubringam Kesavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare 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 जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव श्री भक्ति विघ्न विनाशक लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः राधा कृष्ण सेवा भवो ये अभिलाषी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ये अभिलाषी जे तुम्हार शरण लय तारा वांछा पूर्ण होय कृपा करी राधा गोविन्द प्रेमे सदा येन भासि श्री राधा गोविन्द प्रेमे सदा येन भासि नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे वृन्दादेवी जय वृन्दादेवी जय वृन्दादेवी जय वृन्दादेवी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्याय कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवद्धाय नमो नमः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवद्धाय नमो नमः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्ताय नमो नमः
my desire also grant me residence in the precious courts of Shiva and Davatam. Thus within my vision shall behold the beautiful paths of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me follower of Karho Danso's Virgin. Please give me the privilege devotional service and make me own maidservant. This very fallen lowly servant of Krishna prays. May I always swim in the love of Shri Radha and Govinda. Srimati Tulasi Maharani ki jai. There are 10 fences in the chant the holy name that should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme devotees or dedicate their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigod, Lord Shiva or Brahma, to be equal to independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature pursuing the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glorious chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities and strength of chanting the holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities, offering the Vedas fruity activities, Karma, Kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about glorious holy name. 10. To not complete faith in the chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachments in understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense by inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success, Krishna, Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are deities who can fulfill it to everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. So just a reminder that today breakfast time for Ekadasi is between 8 a.m. and 10:30. Hare Krishna. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Cheto darpana marjanam bhavamaha davakni nirvapanam. Shriya kairava chantrika vitaranam vidyavatu jivanam. Anandam pudivardhanam pratipadam purunarmita sadhanam. Sarvatmasnapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatrapita niyamita smaranena kalaha etadeshi tavakripa bhagavam mamapi durudevami desham iha janina nurakaha trinatapi sunijena tarorapi saishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada harihi na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama jammani jamanishvare bhavata bhaktir haituki toyi ayinanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam buddha kripaya tava pada pankaja sthita tuli satesham vichintaya Nayanam Galata Shrudaraya Vatanam Kadgada Rudaya Gira Pulakai Nichitam Mapurukada Tavanama Grahane Pavishati Yugaitam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravisha Itam Shunya Itam Jagasarvam Govinda Virahename Ashrisha Padaratam Pinnashtumam Adarsanam Marmhatam Karotuva Yatha tatha va vidathatu lampato mad prana nathastu sa eva na paraha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and distinguishes fire conditional life for repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction of humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone grants all benediction human beings. Thus we have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names I invested all your transcendental energies. They are not even hard and fast rules to chanting these names. Oh my Lord, our kindness enables us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, one should be more taller than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the Adam to the lotus feet. O my Lord, while my eyes be decorative of love, flowing constant when I chant your holy name, while my voice choke up, while the hairs on my body stand at the citation of your name. O Govinda, feeling of separation, I'm considering a moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from eyes are torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his grace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Shri Mangala Charna prayers ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Desha Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Ti Namine Shri Varsha Bhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhavin Namaha Madhuryo Jala Premadya Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktita Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Mudaye Dina Darine Rupa Nuga Viruta Pasiddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Saksha Vairagya Mutaye Vipalambara Sambhote Padam Pujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupa Nuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumistvam Nirdeshta Sajana Priyaha Vaishnava Sara Bhauma Shri Jaganathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishin Namaha Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakham Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Sratoro Pangoro Mamamanda Materkati Masarva Swapadam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Dvindaranya Kalpadu Mata Shimadra Nagara Singhasanasto Shrimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prishtari Bi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Vam Shiva Tatatastitaha Karsham Venu Suner Gopir Gopinatha Shriyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dhadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Mangala Charna prayers ki jai. Shri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Chintamani Parakara Satmasukha Paviksha Rakshariteshu Surabhira Pipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shatasam Brahmasevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kavanantam Aravinda Dalayataksam Paraharatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Gandharvagoti Gamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chantakala Savanamari Vamshi Ranangadam Panayakeli Kalavilasam Shamam Tripanga Lalitam Yataprakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pashanti Banti Karayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chimma Sadhujala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achotam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durabham Adurabham Atma Bhakta Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Panchatu Koti Shadavassara Sampragamyo Vayurathapi Manaso Munipangavanan Sopiyasti Yapapada Simya Vichinta Tatve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sarachayitum Jagatanta Kotim Yachakti Rasti Jagatanta Chaya Yadantaha Antantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yad Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manujasta Teva Samprapya Rupa Mahimasana Yana Pushaha Suktaryam Eva Nigama Patitai Stuvanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chimma Rasa Patibhavitabis Tapiya Eva Jarupa Taya Kalapihi Goloka Eva Nivasati Kilatma Bhutto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churuta Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hitayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundar Machintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murtishu Kalanyamena Tishtan Nanavatarama Karopu Vaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhava Parama Pumamyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has the eternal bliss for spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin and the prime cause of all causes.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire in a boats built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with a figure beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyamasundara is eternally manifest.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendent figure possesses himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas but obtainable by pure and Lord devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, he is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha. Yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord. Only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling their respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years.
He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe, at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore.
I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas taught by the Vedas by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveniences, and ornaments.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha resembling his own spiritual figure. The embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities in the company of her confidants, Sakhis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shyamasundara, Krishna himself with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion, tinged with the salve of love.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc. as the subjective portions. Sri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Bhagavad Gita 7.1 purport. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punyasravana kirtanaha hridayanta hi stauhi apatrani vidunoti suhritsatam nashtaprayesva abhatreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki tada rajastamo bhava kama lobha dayaschaye cheta eter anavedam sitam satve prasidati evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogatah भगवत तत्व विज्ञानम मुक्त संगस्य जायते विद्यते हृदय ग्रंथे छिद्यन्ते सर्व समस्याः क्षीयन्ते च कर्माणि दृष्टा एवात्मनीश्वरे. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity, and for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of asamsayam samagram, understanding of the supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam 1.2.17 to 21. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we'll continue reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 9. Rajakamo manum devan nirtim tva abhicharanja yajet kama kamo yajet somam akama purusham param. Rajakamaha, anyone desiring an empire or kingdom. Manun, the Manus, semi-incarnations of God. Devan, demigods. Nirtim, demons. Tu, but Abhicharan, desiring victory over the enemy. Yajet, should worship. Kama Kama, one who desires sense gratification. Yajet, should worship. Somam, the demigod named Chandra. Akamaha, one who has no material desires to be fulfilled. Purusham, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Param, the Supreme. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. One who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the Manus. One who desires victory over an enemy should worship the demons. And one who desires sense gratification should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. For a liberated person, all the enjoyments listed above are considered to be absolutely useless. Only those who are conditioned by the material modes of external energy are captivated by different types of material enjoyment. In other words, the transcendentalist has no material desires to be fulfilled, whereas the materialist has all types of desires to be fulfilled. The Lord has proclaimed that the materialists who desire material enjoyment and thus seek the favor of different demigods, as above mentioned, are in control of their senses and so give themselves to nonsense. One should therefore not desire any sort of material enjoyment, being sensible enough to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The leaders of nonsensical persons are still more nonsensical because they preach openly and foolishly that one can worship any form of demigod and get the same result. This sort of preaching is not only against the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita or those of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but is also foolish, just as it is foolish to claim that With the purchase of any travel ticket, one may reach the same destination. No one can reach Bombay from Delhi by purchasing a ticket for Baroda. It is clearly defined herein that persons impregnated with different desires have different modes of worship. But one who has no desire for material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. And this worshipping process is called devotional service. Pure devotional service means service to the Lord without any tinge of material desires, including desire for fruitive activity and empiric speculation. For fulfillment of material desires, one may worship the Supreme Lord, but the result of such worship is different, as will be explained in the next verse. Generally, the Lord does not fulfill anyone's material desires for sense enjoyment, but He awards such benedictions to worshippers of the Lord, for they ultimately come to the point of not desiring material enjoyment. The conclusion is that one must minimize the desires for material enjoyment, and for this one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described here as Param, or beyond anything material. Sripada Sankaracharya has also stated, Narayanaha Paro Vyaktat, the Supreme Lord is beyond the material encirclement. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 10. Akamaha sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Akama, one who has transcended all material desires. Sarva kama, one who has the sum total of material desires. Va, either. Moksha kama, one who desires liberation. Udaradhi, with broader intelligence. Tivrena, with great force. Bhakti yogena, by devotional service to the Lord. Yajeta, should worship Purusham, the Lord, Param, the supreme whole. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Purushottama, or the Supreme Personality. It is He only who can award liberation to the impersonalist by absorbing such aspirants in the Brahma Jyoti, the bodily rays of the Lord. The Brahma Jyoti is not separate from the Lord, as the glowing sun ray is not independent of the sun disk. Therefore, one who desires to merge into the Supreme Impersonal Brahma Jyoti must also worship the Lord by Bhakti Yoga, as recommended here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhakti Yoga is especially stressed here as the means of all perfection. In the previous chapters, it has been stated that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of both Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And in the same way, in this chapter, it is emphatically declared that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of the different varieties of worship of the different demigods. Bhakti Yoga, thus being the supreme means of all self-realization, is recommended here. Everyone must therefore seriously take up the methods of Bhakti Yoga, even though one aspires for material enjoyment or liberation from material bondage. Akkamaha is one who has no material desire. A living being, naturally being the part and parcel of the Supreme Whole, Purusham Purnam, has his natural function to serve the Supreme Being. Just as the parts and parcels of the body, or the limbs of the body, are naturally meant to serve the complete body. Desireless means, therefore, not to be inert like the stone, but to be conscious of one's actual position, and thus desire satisfaction only from the Supreme Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained this desirelessness as Bhajaniya Param Purusha Sukha Matra Swa Sukhatvam in his Sandarbha. This means that one should feel happy only by experiencing the happiness of the Supreme Lord. This institution of the living being is sometimes manifested even during the conditioned stage of a living being in the material world, and such institution is expressed in the manner of altruism, philanthropy, socialism, communism, etc., by the undeveloped minds of less intelligent persons. In the mundane field, such an outlook of doing good to others in the form of society, community, family, country, or humanity is a partial manifestation of the same original feeling in which a pure living entity feels happiness by the happiness of the Supreme Lord. Such superb feelings were exhibited by the damsels of Rajabhumi for the happiness of the Lord. The gopis loved the Lord without any return, and this is the perfect exhibition of the akamak spirit. Kama spirit, or the desire for one's own satisfaction, is fully exhibited in the material world, whereas the spirit of Akama is fully exhibited in the spiritual world. Thoughts of becoming one with the Lord or being merged in the Brahma Jyoti can also be exhibitions of Kama spirit. If they are desires of for one's own satisfaction to be free from material desires, a pure devotee does not want liberation so that he may be relieved from the miseries of life. Even without so called liberation, a pure devotee is aspirant for the satisfaction of the Lord. Influenced by the Kama spirit, Arjuna declined to fight in the Kurukshetra battlefield because he wanted to save his relatives for his own satisfaction. But being a pure devotee, he agreed to fight on the instruction of the Lord. Because he came to his senses and realized that satisfaction of the Lord at the cost of his own satisfaction was his prime duty. Thus he became Akama, that is the perfect stage of a perfect living being. Udhara Dihi means one who has a broader outlook. People with desires for material enjoyment worship all small demigods, and such intelligence is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita 7.20 as Hrutagnana, the intelligence of one who has lost his senses. One cannot obtain any result from demigods without getting sanction from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a person with a broader outlook can see that the ultimate authority is the Lord, even for material benefits. Under the circumstances, one with a broader outlook, even with a desire for material enjoyment or for liberation, should take to the worship of the Lord directly. And everyone, whether an Akama or Sakama or Moksha Kama, should worship the Lord with great expedience. This implies that Bhakti Yoga may be perfectly administered without any mixture of karma and jnana, as the unmixed sunray is very forceful and is therefore called Tivra. Similarly, unmixed Bhakti Yoga of hearing, chanting, etc. may be performed by one and all regardless of inner motive.
Text 11, Canto 2, Chapter 3.
Etavane vayajata etavane vayajatam ihani re yashada yaha bhagavati achalo bhavo Yad Bhagavata Sangataha Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pirthan Vanti Pityarvataha Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja Yanti Yajino Pimam.
Etavan, all these different kinds of worshippers. Eva, certainly. Ejitam, while worshipping. Iha, in this life. Nishreyasha, the highest benediction. Udayaha, development. Bhagavati, under the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Achalaha, unflinching. Bhavaha, spontaneous attraction. Yat, which. Bhagavata, the pure devotee of the Lord. Sangataha, association.
No, that's not it. That's not the end. There's more in the verse. All the different kinds of worshippers of multi-demigods contain the highest perfection of benediction, which is spontaneous attraction unflinchingly fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by the association of the pure devotee of the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. All living entities in different statuses of life within the material creation, beginning from the first demigod Brahma down to the small ant, are conditioned under the law of material nature, or the external energy of the Supreme Lord. The living entity in his pure state is conscious of the fact that he is a part and parcel of the Lord. But when he is thrown into the material world on on ac- on account of his desire to lord it over the material energy, he becomes conditioned by the three modes of material nature and thus struggles for existence for the highest benefit. This struggle for existence is something like following the the wisp under the spell of material enjoyment. All plans for material enjoyment, either by worshipping of different demigods as described in the previous verses of this chapter, or by modernized advancement of scientific knowledge without the help of God or demigod, are illusory only. For despite all such plans for happiness, the conditioned living being with the compass of material creation can never solve the problems of life, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. The history of the universe is full of such plan makers, and many kings and emperors come and go, leaving and plan making story only. But the prime problems of life remain unsolved despite all endeavors by such plan makers. Actually, human life is meant for making a solution to the problems of life. One can never solve such problems by satisfying the different demigods, by different modes of worship, or by so-called scientific advancement in knowledge with the help of God or the demigods. Apart from the gross materialists who care very little either for God or for the demigods, the Vedas recommend worship of different demigods for different benefits, and so the demigods are neither false nor imaginary. The demigods are as factual as we are, but they are much more powerful due to their being engaged in the direct service of the Lord in managing different departments in the universal government. The Bhagavad Gita affirms this, and the different planets of the demigods are mentioned there, including the one of the supreme demigod Lord Brahma. The gross materialists do not believe in the existence of God or the demigods, nor do they believe that different planets are dominated by different demigods. They are creating a great commotion about reaching the closest celestial body, Chandraloka, or the moon. But even after much mechanical research, they have only very scanty information of this moon. And in spite of much false advertisement for selling land on the moon, the puffed up scientists or gross materialists cannot live there, and what to speak of reaching the other planets, which they are now unable even to count. However, the followers of the Vedas have a different method of acquiring knowledge. They accept the statements of the Vedic literatures as authority in toto, as we have already discussed in Canto 1, and therefore that they have full and reasonable knowledge of God and demigod, and of their different residential planets situated within the compass of the material world. Of their different residential planets situated within the compass of the material world and beyond the limit of the material sky. The most authentic Vedic literature accepted by the great Indian acharyas like Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, and Chaitanya, and had studied by all important personalities of the world. Is the Bhagavad Gita, in which the worship of the demigods and their respective residential planets are mentioned. The Bhagavad Gita 9.25 affirms the worshippers Yanti deva vrata devan Pitrin yanti pitirvrata Bhutani yanti bhutejya Yanti madhya yajino piyamam. Therefore, the worshippers of demigods reach the respective planets of the demigods, and the worshippers of the forefathers reach the planets of the forefathers. The gross materialists remain in the different material planets, but the devotees of the Lord reach the kingdom of God. We also have information from the Bhagavad Gita that all the planets within the material world, including Brahma Loka, are temporarily annihilated. Are but temporarily situated, and after a fixed period they are all annihilated. Therefore, the demigods and their followers are all annihilated at the period of devastation. But one who reaches the kingdom of God gets a permanent share in eternal life. That is the verdict of Vedic literature. The worshippers of the demigods have one facility more than the unbelievers due to their being convinced of the Vedic version, but by which they can get information of the benefit of worshipping the Supreme Lord in association of the devotees of the Lord. The gross materialist, however, without any faith in the Vedic version, remain eternally in darkness, driven by a false conviction of the basis of imperfect experimental knowledge, or so-called materialistic science, which can never reach into the realm of transcendental knowledge.
Therefore,
unless the gross materialists or the worshippers of the temporary demigods come in pure contact with a transcendentalist, like the pure devotee of the Lord, their attempts are simply a waste of energy. Only by the grace of the divine personalities, the pure devotees of the Lord, can one achieve pure devotion, which is the highest perfection of human life. Only a pure devotee of the Lord can show one the right way of progressive life. Otherwise, both the materialistic way of life without any information of God or the demigods, and the life engaged in the worship of demigods in pursuit of temporary material enjoyments, are different phases of phantasmagoria. They are nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita also, but the Bhagavad Gita can be understood in the association of pure devotees only, and not by interpretations of politicians or dry philosophical speculations.
Text 12, Canto 2, Chapter 3. Jnanam yadapa apratinivrutta gunormi chakram atma prasada udayatra guneshva sanga kaivalya sammata patastva ata bhakti yoga ko nirvrito harikatasu ratim na kuryat. Jnanam, knowledge, yet that which up to the limit of Pratinivritta, completely withdrawn. Guna Urmi, the waves of the material modes. Chakram, whirlpool. Atma Prasada, self satisfaction. Uta, moreover. Yatra, where there is. Guneshu, in the modes of nature. Asangaha, no attachment. Kaivalya, transcendental. Sammata, approved. Pata, path. Tu, but. Ata, therefore. Bhakti Yoga, devotional service. Ka, who. Nirvritaha, absorbed in. Harikatashu, in the transcendental topics of the Lord. Ratim, attraction. Na, shall not. Kuryat, do. Translation. Transcendental knowledge in relation with the Supreme Lord, Hari, is knowledge resulting in the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of the material modes. Such knowledge is self-satisfying due to its being free from material attachment, and being transcendental, it is approved by the authorities who could fail to be attracted. Who could fail to be attracted? Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. According to Bhagavad Gita 10.9, the characteristics of pure devotees are wonderful. The complete functional activities of a pure devotee are always engaged in the service of the Lord, and thus the pure devotees exchange feelings of ecstasy between themselves and relish transcendental bliss. This transcendental bliss is experienced even in the stage of devotional practice, sadhana avastha, if properly undertaken under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And in the mature stage, the developed transcendental feeling culminates in realization of the particular relationship with the Lord by which a living entity is originally constituted, up to the relationship of the conjugal love with the Lord, which is estimated to be the highest transcendental bliss. Thus, Bhakti Yoga, being only the means of God realization, is called Kaivalya. Srila Jiva Goswami quotes the Vedic version, Eko Narayano Deva Para Vranam Parama Aste Kaivalya Samjnitaha. In this connection, and establishes that Narayana, the personality of Godhead, is known as Kaivalya, and the means which enables one to approach the Lord is called the Kaivalya Pantha, or the only means of attainment of Godhead. This Kaivalya Pantha begins from Shravana, or hearing those topics that relate to the personality of Godhead. And the natural consequence of hearing such Harikatha is attainment of transcendental knowledge, which causes detachment from all mundane activities, from all mundane topics, for which a devotee has no taste at all. For a devotee, all mundane activities, social and political, become unattractive. And in the mature state, such a devotee becomes uninterested even in his own body, and what to speak of bodily relatives. In such a state of affairs, one is not agitated by the waves of mundane functions, by the waves of material modes. There are different modes of material nature, and all mundane functions in which a common man is very much interested or in which he takes part become unattractive for the devotee. This state of affairs is described herein as pratinivritta gunormi, and it is possible by atma prasada or complete self satisfaction without any material connection. The first class devotee of the Lord attains this stage by devotional service, but despite his loftiness, for the Lord's satisfaction, he may play the voluntary part of a preacher of the Lord's glory and dovetail all into devotional service, even in mundane interest, just to give the neophytes a chance to transform mundane interest into transcendental bliss. Srila Rupa Goswami has described this action of a pure devotee as Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. Even mundane activities dovetailed with service to the Lord are also calculated to be transcendental or approved Kaivalya affairs.
Saunaka uvacha iti abhivyaharitam raja nishamya bharatarshaba kim manya pristavan bhuyo vayasha kim rishim kavim.
Saunaka Vacha, Saunaka said, Iti thus, Abhivyahritam, all that was spoken. Raja, the king, Nisamya, by hearing. Bharatarshavaha, Maharaja Parikshit. Kim, what? Anyat, more. Prastavan, did he inquire from? Bhuyaha, again. Vaiyashakim, unto the son of Vyasadeva. Rishim, one who is well versed. Kavim, poetic.
Saunaka said, the son of Vyasadeva, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, was a highly learned sage and was able to describe things in a poetic manner. What did Maharaj Parikshit again inquire from him after hearing all that he had said? Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord automatically develops all godly qualities, and some of the prominent features of those qualities are as follows. He is kind, peaceful, truthful, equable, faultless, magnanimous, mild, clean, non-possessive, a well-wisher to all, satisfied, surrendered to Krishna, without hankering, simple, fixed, self-controlled, a balanced eater, sane, mannerly, prideless, grave, sympathetic, friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. Out of these 26 prominent features of a devotee, as described by Krishna Dasa Kaviraja in his Chaitanya Charitamrita, the qualification of being poetic is especially mentioned herein in relation to Sukadeva Goswami. The presentation of Srimad Bhagavatam by his recitation is the highest poetic contribution. He was a self-realized learned sage. Self-realized learned sage. In other words, he was a poet amongst the sages.
Text 14, Canto 2, Chapter 3. Etachushrushatam vidvan suto norhasi bhashitam कथा हरि कथोदर्का शतांशु सदसि ध्रुवम्. Etad this Shushtrushitam of those eager to hear, Vidwan O learned, Suta Goswami, Nah unto us, Arahasi, may you do it. Basitam, just to explain it. Katha, topics. Hari Katha Udarkaha, result in the topics of the Lord. Satam, of the devotees. Syu, maybe. Sadasi, in the assembly of. Dhruvam, certainly. Translation. O learned Suta Goswami, please continue to explain such topics to us because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As we have already quoted above from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami, even mundane things, if dovetailed in the service of the Lord Sri Krishna, are accepted as transcendental. For example, the epics or the histories of Ramayana and Mahabharata, which are specifically recommended for the less intelligent classes, women, Sudras, and unworthy sons of the higher castes, are also accepted as Vedic literature because they are compiled in connection with the activities of the Lord. Mahabharata is accepted as the fifth division of the Vedas after its first four divisions, namely Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva. The less intelligent do not accept Mahabharata as part of the Vedas, but great sages and authorities accept it as the fifth division of the Vedas. Bhagavad Gita is also part of the Mahabharata, and it is full of the Lord's instruction for the less intelligent class of men. Some less intelligent men say that Bhagavad Gita not meant for householder. But such foolish men forget that Bhagavad Gita was explained to Arjuna, a Grihastha family man, and spoken by the Lord in his role as a Grihastha. So Bhagavad Gita, although containing the high philosophy of the Vedic wisdom, is for the beginners in the transcendental science, and Srimad Bhagavatam is for graduates and postgraduates in the transcendental science. Therefore, literatures like Mahabharata, the Puranas, and similar other literatures, which are all full of pastimes of the Lord, are all transcendental literatures, and they should be discussed with full confidence in the society of great devotees. The difficulty is that such literatures, when discussed by professional men, appear to be mundane literature like histories or epics because there are so many historical facts and figures. It is said here, therefore, that such literatures should be discussed in the assembly of devotees. Unless they are discussed by devotees, such literatures cannot be released by the higher class of men. So the conclusion is that the Lord is not impersonal in the ultimate issue. He is the supreme person, and he has his different activities. He is the leader of all living entities, and he descends at his will and by his personal energy to reclaim the fallen souls. Thus, he plays exactly like the social, political, religious leaders, because such roles ultimately culminate in the discussion of topics of the Lord. All such preliminary topics are also transcendental. That is the way of spiritualizing the civic activities of human society. Men have inclinations for studying history and many other mundane literatures, stories, fiction, dramas, magazines, and newspapers, etc. So let them be dovetailed with the transcendental service of the Lord, and all of them will turn to the topics released by all devotees. The propaganda that the Lord is impersonal, that he has no activity, and that he is a dumb stone without any name and form has encouraged people to become godless, faithless demons, and the more they deviate from the transcendental activities of the Lord, the more they become accustomed to mundane activities that only clear their path to hell instead of return them home back to Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam begins from the history of the Pandavas with necessary politics and social activities, and yet Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be the Paramahamsa Samhita, or the Vedic literature meant for the topmost transcendentalist, and it describes Param Jnanam, the highest transcendental knowledge. Pure devotees of the Lord are all Paramahamsas, and they are like the swans who know the art of sucking milk out of a mixture of milk and water.
Savai Bhagavato Vraja Pandaveyo Maharataha Balakridan Kair Kridan Krishna Kridam Gyabadade.
Sahi, why certainly, Bhagavata, a great devotee of the Lord, Raja, Maharaja Parikshit, Pandaveya, grandson of the Pandavas, Maharadaha, a great fighter, Bala, wily child, Krida Nakai with play dolls, Kridan playing, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Kridam activities, Yahoo, Adabe, Adade, accepted.
Translation: Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of, of the Pandavas, was from his very childhood a great devotee of the Lord. Even while playing with dolls, he used to worship Lord Krishna by imitating the worship of the family deity. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 6.41, it is stated that even a person who has failed in the proper discharge of yoga practice is to take failed in the proper discharge of yoga practice is given a chance to take birth in them and here in the house of devout brahmanas, or in the houses of rich men like kshatriyas, kings, or rich merchants. But Maharaj Parikshit was more than that great, because he had been a great devotee of the Lord since his previous birth. And as such, he took his birth in an imperial of the Gurus, and especially that of the Pandavas. So from the very beginning of his childhood, he had the chance to know intimately the devotional service of Lord Krishna in his own family. The Pandavas, all being devotees of the Lord, certainly venerated family deities in the royal palace for worship. Children who appear in such families fortunately generally imitate such worship of the deities, even in the way of childhood play. By the grace of Lord Sri Krishna, we had the chance of being born in a Vaishnava family, and in our childhood we imitated the worship of Lord Krishna by imitating our father. Our father encouraged us in all respects to observe all functions such as the Ratha Yatra and Dola Yatra ceremonies, and he used to spend money liberally for distributing prasada to us children and our friends. Our spiritual master, who also took his birth in a Vaishnava family, got all inspirations from his great Vaishnava father. Thakura Bhakti Vinoda, Thakura Bhakti Vinoda, that is the way of all lucky Vaishnava families. The celebrated Mirabai was a staunch devotee of Lord Krishna as the great lifter of Govardhan Hill. Next paragraph.
The life history of many such devotees is almost the same because there is always symmetry between the early lives of all great devotees of the Lord. According to Jiva Goswami, Maharaja Parikshit must have heard about the childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna at Vrindavana, for he used to imitate the pastimes with his young playmates. According to Sri Sridhara Swami, Maharaja Parikshit used to imitate the worship of the family deity by elderly members. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti also confirms the viewpoint of Jiva Goswami. So, accepting either of them, Maharaja Parikshit was naturally inclined to Lord Krishna from his very childhood. He might have imitated either of the above mentioned activities, and all of them establish his great devotion from his very childhood. A symptom of a Mahabhagavata. Such Mahabhagavatas are called Nitya Siddhas, or souls liberated from birth. But there are also others who may not be liberated from birth, but who develop a tendency for devotional service by association, and they are called Sadhana Siddhas. There is no difference between the two in the ultimate issue. And so, the conclusion is that everyone can become a sadhana siddha, a devotee of the Lord, simply by association with the pure devotees. The concrete example is our great spiritual master, Sri Narada Muni. In his previous life, he was simply a boy of a maid servant, but through association with great devotees, he became a devotee of the Lord of his own standard, unique in the history of devotional service. Text 16, Canto 2, Chapter 3. Vaiyasakischa Bhagavan Vasudeva-parayanaha Urugaya Gunodara Satam Syurhi Samagame. Vaiyasaki, the son of Vasudeva. Cha also Bhagavan, full in transcendental knowledge. Vasudeva, Lord Krishna. Parayanaha, attached to. Urugaya, of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, who is glorified by great philosophers. Guna Udaraha, great qualities. Satam, of the devotees. Syu, must have been. He, as a matter of fact. Samagame, by the presence of. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, was also full in transcendental knowledge and was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, son of Vasudeva. So there must have been discussion of Lord Krishna, who is glorified by the great philosophers and in the company of great devotees. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The word Satam is very important in this verse. Sata means the pure devotees, who have no other desire than to serve the Lord. Only in the association of such devotees are the transcendental glories of Lord Krishna properly discussed. It is said by the Lord that his topics are full of spiritual significance, and once one properly hears about him in the association of Satam, certainly one senses the great potency and so automatically attains to the devotional stage of life. As already described, Maharaja Parikshit was a great devotee of the Lord from his very birth, and so was Sukadeva Goswami. Both of them were on the same level, although it appeared that Maharaja Parikshit was a great king accustomed to royal facilities, whereas Sukadeva Goswami was a typical renouncer of the world, so much so that he did not even put a cloth on his body. Superficially, Maharaja Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami might seem to be opposites, but basically they were both unalloyed, pure devotees of the Lord. When such devotees are assembled together, there can be no topics there can be no topics save discussions of the glories of the Lord or Bhakti Yoga. In the Bhagavad Gita also, when there were talks between the Lord and his devotee Arjuna, there could not be any topic other than Bhakti Yoga.
No.
However, the mundane scholars may speculate on it in their own ways. The use of the word cha after Vaiyasaki suggests, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, that both Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaja Parikshit were of the same category, settled long before, although one was playing the part of the master and the other the disciple. Since Lord Krishna is the center of the topics, the word Vasudeva Parayanaha or devotee of Vasudeva suggests devotee of the Lord Krishna, the common aim. Although there were many others who assembled at the place where Maharaja Parikshit was fasting, the natural conclusion is that there was no topic other than the glorification of Lord Krishna, because the principal speaker was Sukadeva Goswami and the chief audience was Maharaja Parikshit. So Srimad Bhagavatam, as it was spoken and heard by two principal devotees of the Lord, is only for the glorification of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna.
Which one were we reading? What? I thought we were reading 15 the whole time.
You are not following them.
अयोहर्ति वै पुंसामोद्यानास्तं च यानशु तस्यार्थे अयोर्हरति वै पुंसाम् उद्यानम् अस्तं च यानशौ तस्यार्थे यत्क्षाणोनिता उत्तमो श्लोकवर्तयः वर्तय.
Ayu, the duration of life, Harati, decreases. Why? Certainly. Pumsam, of the people, Udyan, rising. Astam, setting. Cha, also. Yan, moving. Asau, the sun. Tasya, of one who glorifies the Lord. Arde, except. Yet, by whom? Kshanaha, time. Nita, utilized. Uttama Shloka, the all good personality of Godhead. Vartaya, in the topics of.
Translation: both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life or of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. This verse indirectly confirms the greater importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by acceleration of devotional service. Time and tide wait for no man. So the time indicated by the sunrise and the sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual values. Even a fraction of the duration of life wasted cannot be compensated by any amount of gold. Human life is simply awarded to a living entity, Jiva, so that he can realize his spiritual identity and his permanent source of happiness. A living being, especially the human being, is seeking happiness because happiness is the natural situation of the living entity. But he is vainly seeking happiness in the material atmosphere. A living being is constitutionally a spiritual spark of the complete whole, and his happiness can be in his happiness and his happiness can be perfectly perceived in spiritual activities. The Lord the, the Lord in the complete whole, spirit whole and is the complete spirit whole, and his name, form, quality, pastimes, interreach, and personality are all identical with him. Once a person comes into contact with any one of the above mentioned energies of the Lord through the proper channel of devotional service, the door to perfection is immediately opened. In the Bhagavad Gita 2.40, the Lord has explained such contact in the following words. Endeavors in devotional service are never baffled, nor is there failure. A slight beginning of such activities is sufficient even to deliver a person from the great ocean of material fears. As a highly potent drug injected intravenously acts at once on the whole body, the transcendental topics of the Lord injected through the ear by the pure devotee of the Lord can act very efficiently. Oral realization of the transcendental message implies total realization, just as fructification of the one part of a tree implies fructification of all other parts. This realization for a moment in the pure association of pure devotees, like Sukadeva Goswami, prepares one one's complete life for eternity, and thus the sun fails to rob the pure devotee of his duration of life, inasmuch as he is constantly busy in the devotional service of the Lord, purifying his existence. Death is a symptom of the material infection of the internal living being. Only due to material infection is the eternal living entity subjected to the law of birth, death, old age, and disease. The materialistic way of pious activities like charity is recommended in the Smriti Shastras as quoted by Sri Vishwanatha
Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura.
Money given to charity to a suitable Money given in charity to a suitable person is guaranteed bank balance in the next life. Such charity is recommended to be given to a brahmana. If the money is given in charity to a non-brahmana without brahmanical qualification, the money is returned in the next life in the same proportion. If it is given in charity to a half-educated brahmana, even then the money is returned double. If the money is given in the charity to a learned and fully qualified brahmana, the money is returned 100,000 times. And if the money is given to a Veda Paraga, one who has factually realized the path of the Vedas, it is returned by unlimited multiplication. Daddy, can you read now?
Where are you? The materialistic way of pious activities like charity is recommended in the Smriti Sastras as quoted by Srila Chishnada Chakravarti Thakura. Money given in charity to a suitable person is guaranteed bank balance in the next life. Such charity is recommended to be given to a Brahmana. If the money is given in charity to a non-Brahmana without Brahmanical qualification, the money is returned in the next life in the same proportion. If it is given in charity to a half-educated Brahmana, even then the money is returned double. If the money is given in charity to a learned and fully qualified Brahmana, the money is returned 100,000 times. And if the money is given to a Veda Paraga, one who has factually realized the path of Vedas, it is returned by unlimited multiplication. The ultimate end of Vedic knowledge is realization of the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Vedascha sarver aham eva vedya. There is a guarantee of monies being returned if given in charity, regardless of the proportion. Similarly, a movement passed in the association of a pure devotee by hearing and chanting the transcendental messages of the Lord is a perfect guarantee for eternal life, for returning home back to Godhead. Maddhama gatva punarjanma na vidyate. In other words, a devotee of the Lord is guaranteed eternal life. A devotee's old age or disease in the present life is but an impetus to such guaranteed eternal life. Today we read until Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 17. We'll continue reading tomorrow. Gandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. We'll continue to Guru Puja now. Give it to me. Take it out. Shri Guru Cherana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadna Mandamui Savadana Mate Jehara Prasadi Bai E Baba Toriya Jai Krishna Prapti Ho Jaha Hote Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Kya Arana Koriho Mani Asha Jai Guru Cherani Rati Ese Utama Gati जय प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा। चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से। दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित। प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाशा जाते। वेदे गाय जहरा चरितो। श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदामा जैनारा बंधु। लोकाना लोके राजीवाना। यह प्रभु गुरु दोया देहा मोरे पादा छाया। ये बेजास गुसुक त्रिभुवाना। प्रभुपाद पतिता पावाना। जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय गुरुदेवा। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे। निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा। श्री अद्वैता गणधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Nityai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nityai Gaura Hari Bol.